Sup nerds, here is my mommy ace control deck profile. Starting off with our Tamer, obviously we are playing 4 mothers. All turns the Digimon can't attack and isn't affected by your opponent's effects, and then main once per turn, blah blah blah. We're not reading any of this other stuff. Basically this is a 15,000 DP immune AF Digimon that you can give blocker to if you see certain cards in your deck. That's all it's here for, is just some defense. And then onto our recovery pieces, we are playing 4 BT14 Magna Angemon, 4 to hard play, 8,000 DP, on play / when evolving if you have 5 or fewer security cards, recover +1. Then for the turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1,000 DP for each card in your security stack. This is really cool for blowing up level 4s and sometimes 5s. And then we are also playing 4 Magna Angemon from BT1, 7 to hard play, on play, recover +1, no limitation, very good. And then the inheritable is your turn. For every 3 cards in your security stack, the Digimon gets 1,000 DP. That's actually pretty good when you're trying to swing your opponent's security, making your swings a little bit safer. And then the last part of the recovery package, we are playing 4 Seraphimon Ace from EX6, can blast Evo on top of all of our level 5, spoilers, and then cost 7 to hard play, which is cool. Evo's on top of Magna Angemon for 3, also really cool. This is black box because your purple hybrid matchup will try to change your colors to avoid you being able to blast on them, and this is probably the worst one to blast against them because it just bounces their dude and it doesn't float anymore. They just lose that Tamer access, which is really cool. Something to keep in mind. So on play or when digivolving, recover +1, no matter what, no limitation, thank you. And then all turns once per turn, when a card is added to your security stack, return one of your opponent's Digimon as high or lower level as the number of your security cards to the hand. This is mandatory. I wish it weren't, so you could like recover multiple times and then trigger it, but I'll take it, I guess. What's cool is once he's on the field, anytime you recover, obviously that'll trigger, which is really nice. It just keeps people bouncing your opponent's stuff. This is a really good card. Also, if they change this guy's color, we are playing another card in this deck, spoilers, that we can blast on top of this guy with. That is it for the recovery package. And now we'll move on to the removal effects. So we are playing 2 Edamon from EX5, 7 to hard play, on play or when digivolving to the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP and gains start of your main phase Digimon attacks. So this does taunt and it's premium DP reduction, really good. But the issue I found with this deck is if you're playing against someone who knows what they're doing, they're going to do their best to just hide in raising and just avoid playing into all your stuff. So this guy's not going to be live a lot of the time, and if he is live excessively, you're probably going to win that game anyway, even if you don't see him. This guy forces your opponent to play into your aces, which is really nice, obviously. The inheritable I'm not even going to read. You're never going to want to trigger that. It's never going to do anything but trash 3 cards from the top of your deck. And then we are, of course, playing 4 Shadows from BT18. As I said, this guy can blast on top of the Seraphimon, which is really cool. 7 to hard play, 4 to Evo. He does have blocker, which is actually really nice. Then on player, when digivolving, digivolve 3, one of your opponent's Digimon, and then all turns once per turn, when attack targets change, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5,000 DP for the turn. Really good. This is DP reduction and de-evo, 2 of the strongest removal mechanics in the game. Really good versus purple hybrid as well, because you just de-evo them down to the dusk and then they don't float again and you're just like LOL, lose access to your resources. A nice try, thanks for coming. Also really good because when you redirect with your mother, when she inevitably gets blocker, it also will minus 5k on stuff. Really cool effect. And then we're playing 4 Valk Aces from BT16. This guy costs 7 hard play or 4 to Evo. On play or when digivolving, all of your opponent's Digimon get minus 5,000 DP for the turn. This is disgusting if your opponent decides to get wide on you, hoping they can just lethal you around your mother's having blocker. Nope, not today. They better be bigger than 5k. And then all turns once per turn, when a card is moved from a security stack, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or lower. If this effect didn't delete, this Digimon gains security attack +1 into the end of your turn. So for those of you that don't know, this can trigger on your opponent's turn and then on your turn to give him 2 extra checks to swing for 3 security. It's really nice if you have this guy on top of the Magna to make him maybe 13 or 14,000 DP sometimes, so it's a little safer to swing for that many checks. But YOLO swag 420, we're definitely going to do that because we're trying to kill our opponents and not just deck them out. This guy's also a really cool floodgate because if you're playing against like Vaccine or something, this will attempt to pop their stuff anytime they interact with their security. Edamoning and then Valking someone is just ridiculous because you just force them to play into a rune mode on their turn. Really cool card. And then we're of course playing, I would argue, the 4 best cards in the deck. 4 Medieval Gallantmon from EX8. This card is obscene Obscene and Disgusting is functionally an ace card, but it's not an ace, so there's no overflow, which is really stupid. Also, he's a floodgate, so he is 11 to hard play or 3 to evo. We cannot evo him in this deck though. Spoilers. Well, there's no spoilers. You guys have already seen all the level 5s. You cannot evo into him, but you're never going to want to. Whatever. So when this card would be played by suspending 2 Digimon, reduce the play cost by 4. So he's 7 to hard play most of the time if you have things to suspend. Usually you will have at least one mother on the field that you can suspend yourself because she's not immune to your effects, and they just have to have one guy on the field to make this guy 7 to play. He has Alliance and Vortex, which are both really good effects. One, he closes out games very quickly. Vortex just lets you out more bodies when you pass turns, really stupid. And then when Digivolving, you may suspend 1 Digimon, then you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or lower. For each other suspended Digimon, add 3,000 to this DP deletion effects maximum. So he does not include himself, for those of you that don't know, because he says for each other suspended Digimon, so it doesn't matter if he's suspended, he does not count. And then all turns once per turn, when Digimon are played, you may activate one of the Digimon's when Digivolving effects. So he does see himself play, and he does trigger his when Digivolving if you want to. It is optional, which is really nice. It makes him even better than he already was. He is just a floodgate once he comes out, because your opponent, if they play something, it better immediately answer him, or they're just going to get something blown up on their side of the field, almost guaranteed. Also, once he hits the board, if he stays on the board, you just swing with Alliance with one of your mothers every single turn. That's 2 checks at like 26,000 DP, and he's surviving everything. Really good card. Basically, the games you see this, especially in multiples, like you're probably going to win unless you're playing just the most disgusting wombo combo TK deck you've ever seen. And then we are playing 2 Shine Greymon Burst Mode Aces, 8 to hard play or 5 to evo on top of our yellow megas. On play or when Digivolving, you may play 1 Tamer card from your hand without paying the cost. Then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5,000 DP for the turn for each of your Tamers. That is really good. He is basically a Wyvern's Breath at worst, and sometimes he is basically just a Heaven's Judgment. We are playing quite a few Tamers in this deck, so when he does come out, he does answer usually at least 1 big stack. We're only playing 2 though, because you do have to have Tamer set up in order to really get full value out of his effect, but it is nice playing a yellow ace since we are playing so many yellows. And then we are playing 4 Gallantmon Crimson Mode Ace. Does evo for 5 on top of our red guys. That is Medieval Gallantmon and Valk, but also he evos on top of Medieval Gallant for 4, something to keep in mind. On play or when Digivolving, delete up to 15,000 DP total worth of your opponent's Digimon. That is a really powerful effect. If your opponent goes wide, you can just be like, hey, no. And then if they don't answer this card immediately, he is going to start trashing their security and getting in there for 15,000 DP on your turn. And then when attacking once per turn, for every 10 total cards in both players' trashes, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So he has a win condition, much like the Medieval Gallantmon. If he goes unanswered, he is going to touch you. Also, I forgot to mention, I didn't bother reading the second effect of the Burst Mode Ace because we're not playing any yellow Tamers, so that effect's literally never going to come up. And then the last part of the removal, we are playing 2 Heaven's Judgments from EX4, 7 cost option. While you have a green Digimon or Tamer, you may ignore this card's color requirements. May inactivate the effect below. For each color your Digimon have, activate it again. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP for the turn, and then you activate it in intervals of 6k for every color you have. You're always going to have a mother in play, basically always. So that is 12,000 DP right there. If you have anything else in play, a lot of them are dual colors, that's another 12,000. So like you're basically always going to be able to clear your opponent's board with this. And this is basically in here for the decks that are like, I'm immune to Digimon effects forever or whatever. Like Tyrant is the best example of anything currently relevant right now. And you just be like, okay, well I drew this card, so your board's dead. Really cool. And then Security Effect is really lackluster. It's the worst part of this card. I honestly would probably prefer just go to my hand. But Security is one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 12,000 DP for the turn. Unfortunately, that is just not going to clear a lot of stuff these days because most things are bigger than that when they swing at you. But it can potentially clear something. And then we are playing 1 I really don't want to deck out card. We were playing 1 Paladin Mode Ace from BT17. Is 9 to hard play. And then on play, when Digivolving, trash all sources of all of your opponent's Digimon, then return all cards in your or your opponent's trash to the bottom of the deck. If this effect returned a level 7 white Digimon card, gain 3 memory. That is randomly cool. You can potentially steal turn if you blast into this if they have a white level 7 in their trash. And then when attacking by returning one of your opponent's Digimon with no sources at the bottom of the deck, unsuspend this Digimon, not once per turn. So if this goes unanswered and they have a wide board, you can potentially swing out on them if you're not worried about aces. But this is basically in here just so we don't deck out in random matchups that are like trying to deck us. And then on to our Tamers. We are playing 4 Akuna Matatas from RB1, 2-cost Tamer. Start of your turn, if your opponent has 3 or more Tamers, gain 1 memory. All turns, when an opponent plays a Digimon by suspending this Tamer, gain 1 memory if that Digimon is level 4 or higher, and draw 1 if it is level 3. Security, play it without paying the cost. So how this is worded and how this works is if your opponent plays 2 Digimon at the same time, and one is level 4 or higher and one is level 3, you actually get both effects when you tap this, which is pretty sick. This is basically for the decks that have a good matchup into us, which is hybrid decks, because they don't really have to play into our removal stuff, and they just get to basically hide as their Tamers. Like, this is just punishes them for playing the game of playing their Tamers. We get extra memory every turn, and then if they ever play something, we get extra memory or draw cards. Really a good card. And then we're playing 4 Digimon Emperor, something that also punishes our opponent for playing the game. 3-cost Tamer from BT8. All turns, one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon is deleted, you may suspend this Tamer to draw 1. Much needed draw power in the deck, much like Akuna Matata down here. And then opponent's turn, one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon is moved from their breeding area to their battle area, gain 2 memory. This either locks your opponent's breeding area down if you see multiples of these and they have like an Ukamon in there, or they just don't play level 4s that can evo on top of their rookies, or it makes it very awkward for them to play around this, which is what you want. And then security, play it without paying the cost, whatever. And then we're obviously playing 4 Shoto Kazamas from EX7, 3-cost Tamer. Start of your main phase, if your opponent has Digimon, gain 1 memory, punishes your opponent for playing the game. And then end of your turn, by suspending this Tamer, one of your Digimon gains piercing and blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. If it has the Vortex Warriors trait, it unsuspends. Security, play it without paying the cost. So what's really cool about Medieval Gallant, one of the other reasons why it's the best card in the deck, is you can Vortex into your opponent's stuff the turn it comes out if you're not worried about aces, and then you can alliance with your mother, and then you can tap this to unsuspend the Medieval Gallantmon and give it piercing, and you can just pierce for 2 checks the turn it comes out, which is really good. And then we are playing 3 Tai Kamiyas from Starter Deck 15. It is our memory setter, and then all turns, when an attack target is switched, by suspending this Tamer, draw 1, and one of your Digimon gets 2000 DP into the end of the turn. Security, play without paying the cost. Usually if you're playing against a deck that can't get bigger than your 15,000 DP mothers, as what I like to do is I just play around Medieval Gallant the best I can, and I actually give this 2k DP to my aces just to make it that much harder for my opponent to pop them, assuming they have a Medieval Gallant in their hand. So it's something to keep in mind. But yeah, if your opponent has really big stacks or whatever, you can potentially make your mother, if you see all 3 of these, 21,000 DP with the redirect. If you have a shadow on the field, it minuses them by 5 if they're not immune to effects. So yeah, you're usually going to be bigger than their stuff when they swing at you, if they do swing at you. That is it for the list. This is the deck that won the members only vote for what I play my locals this week. If you're interested in being able to vote in future polls, consider becoming a member. The join button will be where the subscribe button used to be if you're already subscribed. But if you guys have any questions, anything I didn't address, feel free to leave them down in the comments. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content and want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.